فاتح على حسابك والله.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are today's headlines. 12-year-old Lina Al-Hayek makes Lebanon proud as she wins the first season of NBC's Arab talent competition, The Voice Kids Ahla Sawt. At least 60 people are killed as a suicide bomber driving a truck attacks the security checkpoints on a strategic highway south of Baghdad. And frustration is growing among migrants trapped on Greece's border with Macedonia. Many are living in appalling conditions. Lina Al-Hayek, a 12-year-old girl from Lebanon with no musical training, has won the first season of NBC's Arab talent competition, The Voice Kids Ahla Sawt. Hayek was one of 6 youngsters who made it to the final round of the show and sang live from Beirut on Saturday night in front of a television audience of millions. The finale was the culmination of 10 weeks of tears and laughter as dozens of children between the ages of 7 and 15 competed for the top prize. Al-Hayek will receive a scholarship worth 250,000 Saudi riyals and the opportunity to record a single that will be produced by Platinum Records. Politicians in Lebanon have congratulated Hayek upon her success, including former Prime Minister Najib Mikati and future movement leader Saad Hariri. Hariri traveled to Saudi Arabia on Saturday on a family trip. And similarly, Mark Hatem, a talented Lebanese candidate for TF1's The Voice, has seduced the jury with his interpretation of Ozier's Take Me to Church. Have a listen.
Take me to church. I'll worship like a dog at the shrine of your life. I'll tell you my sins and you can sharpen your knife. Offer me that death to save. Give God, let me give you my life. The madness and soil of that earthly sea. Holy then I am human. Holy then I am.
Labour Minister Sajan Azzi has blamed the ongoing trash crisis on officials who are not a part of the cabinet, saying the government body would have ended the crisis a year ago if they were the ones actually in charge. In remarks on Al Jadid television, Azzi said the solution to the crisis lies with certain politicians, some of which are obstructing moves to end the trash pile-up rather than the cabinet. The 15th National Dialogue session held last month focused on the ensuing garbage problem rather than tackling the months-long presidential void as expected. Civil society groups have strongly opposed all cabinet-proposed solutions, saying they were either too expensive or harmed the environment. Instead, they have long called on the government to concentrate on helping municipalities recycle their waste and bury what is left. Azzi added that Prime Minister Tamam Slam was carrying out phone calls with different officials to try and find an end to the crisis, announcing that ministers have agreed on different locations for the proposed landfills. A Beirut-based NGO is helping young, high-achieving but underprivileged Palestinian refugees to continue their studies by assisting them in securing scholarships to study in prestigious academic institutions in Lebanon and abroad. Unite Lebanon Youth Project founder Malek Nimr tells us more.
I sincerely believe that the only way out of a refugee camp is through education. So, and these are brilliant students, and I see ourselves as kind of the facilitators that get them to what is rightfully theirs, actually, because, you know, everyone should have the chance and the opportunity of a good education. One thing that we're very keen on is that our students have to go to well-respected universities, because let's say a degree from the American University of Beirut makes a world of a difference. Because once our students graduate, it's not like people are queuing up to employ Palestinians.
Thousands of people displaced by war in Syria have lost vital documents, including marriage and birth certificates. The consequences can be life-changing for them and their children, many of whom risk becoming stateless. In Tartus, legal representation, counseling and awareness sessions conducted by UNHCR partner organizations are helping the displaced get the vital documents they need to resume their lives. More in this report.
Halima fled Aleppo when she was 3 months pregnant. In the chaos of flight, she lost all contact with her husband. Now displaced in Tartus, she lives in this collective shelter with her 18-month-old daughter. Her second child will be born soon.
الله بيعلم بحالي يعني هالمعونة بين الله بحب إن شاء الله دخيله يعيني عليه وما أحرمه شيء بحياتي.
But Halima's biggest concern is not having registered her marriage or children.
تثبيت الزواج دائما عم يكون بعقد عرفي، هيدا العقد لازم يتسجل ويتثبت بالمحكمة من شان الزوجة تضمن حقوقها والأولاد يتسجلوا ويكون لهم قيود ولهم اسم ويحملوا الجنسية العربية السورية، لأنه بدون تسجيل بالمحكمة وبالنفوس هن كل حقوقهم القانونية رح تضيع.
UNHCR supports these sessions, and it works with partners to help provide legal representation and counseling when needed. The number of lawyers helping has tripled in few years.
We tell them that you need your kid to go to school, you need to have access to go to the medical services. It's not useful if you are not registered. It will be out of his all rights will be zero for him if he's not registered.
Fighting in Aleppo prevented Halima from making her papers official, but now she's determined to change that.
هو أهم شيء أنا بحياتي إني سجله. المهم الواحد مو لا اللبس ولا الأكل ولا شيء، المهم اللي الواحد إنه ما يضيع حقه. يعني أنا تعذبت في هالحياة بس ما بدي أولادي يتعذبوا.
A year ago, many of the 2,000 displaced people living in this shelter had no official papers. This has now been reversed. Across Syria, 42,000 people displaced by the conflict have benefited from this legal aid. Lives made a little easier in a time of hardship.
Frustration is growing among migrants trapped on Greece's border with Macedonia, and UNHCR says some Syrians and Iraqis from certain cities are being turned back. Some 13,000 men, women and children have been stranded for days at the Idomeni encampment, designed to shelter 1,500 people. The conditions at the makeshift camp, which expands every day as more migrants arrive, are appalling. Migrants are forced to sleep in rough tents that are too thin to offer protection against the freezing temperatures of northern Greece and are set up in muddy, waterlogged fields. Without enough food and lacking basic supplies, their days are spent in long queues, hoping that eventually their turn will come to cross into Macedonia and from there into wealthier Central and Northern Europe.
We have nobody from Damascus or Baghdad who crossed the border from the last night, and they sent him back. Nervous, hopeless, without money, hungry, sick. Everybody here, not only me or those people, everybody here, they are like that. So what can we do? I think nobody cares about us. I'm here from almost 10 days and nobody cares about us. We have so many children that are very sick and nobody cares. We have so many old men that are very sick, like dying, and nobody cares. So what can we do?
We are in the border now, and it's close. And all the night, the government of Macedonians let like one person or two person across every 1 hour. And we are here from yesterday. Yeah, and we're trying. We must try. And there is a lot of people. They sleeping here, and we are sleeping here now. Everyone who have ID from Damascus, he will cannot pass because the government of Macedonia told us like Damascus is it's safe country, but there's a people like me from Yarmouk camp, and Yarmouk camp it's not safe. There is a SIS, and there is a Jabhat Nusra, and there is a Free Army. There is a lot of things in Yarmouk camp, and we don't know why they do this.
Coming up next, U.S. Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz wins nominating contest in Kansas and Maine. Stay with us. Welcome back. At least 60 people have been killed as a suicide bomber driving a truck attacked a security checkpoint on a strategic highway south of Iraq's capital. Another 60 were wounded in a massive blast near the city of Hila, about 90 kilometers south of Baghdad. It wasn't immediately clear who launched the suicide attack, but the Islamic State has recently carried out a string of deadly assaults against Iraqi security forces. Over the past week, a double bombing at a market in Baghdad's southern city killed more than 70 people. The following day, a suicide attack at a funeral north of Baghdad killed about 30. Prominent Sudanese politician Hassan al-Turabi, a veteran who formed the Popular Congress Party, has died in Khartoum at the age of 84. Turabi was reportedly working in his office when he fell down and was taken to hospital. The cause of death was not immediately known, but PCP members said it was caused by a stroke. Ahmed Said, a Sudanese journalist, said Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir visited the hospital twice on Saturday, and a PCP member confirmed that he will be present at the funeral. A fierce intellectual, Turabi studied law in the UK before gaining a doctorate from Sorbonne University in Paris. He later became Dean of the Faculty of Law at Khartoum University in 1964. Moving on to the U.S., Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz has won nominating contests in Kansas and Maine, denting frontrunner Donald Trump's momentum and bolstering Cruz's case that he is the best alternative for those bent on stopping the billionaire businessman. On the Democratic side, frontrunner Hillary Clinton won in Louisiana, while her rival Bernie Sanders, a U.S. Senator from Vermont, won in Kansas and Nebraska. 5 states were holding nominating contests on Saturday as Trump and Clinton looked to strengthen their leads in the battle to pick nominees for the November 8th presidential election to succeed President Barack Obama. Trump won in Louisiana and Kentucky. The results were bad news for the remaining 2 Republican candidates, Marco Rubio, a U.S. Senator from Florida, and Ohio Governor John Kasich, who trailed in all 4 contests. Cruz, a U.S. Senator from Texas who has promoted himself to voters as a true conservative, in contrast to Trump, also won a non-binding straw poll of activists at the Conservative Political Action Conference near Washington.
What we're seeing here in Idaho is really what we're seeing all across the country, which is that Republicans are coming together. They're uniting behind our campaign. The 65% of Republicans who recognize Donald Trump is not the best candidate to go head-to-head with Hillary Clinton, that the odds are too high, he loses. We lose the Supreme Court for a generation, we lose the Bill of Rights, we lose the Senate. And what we're seeing is Republicans coalescing around our campaign.
No, these are important states. We were in Kansas yesterday. These states have a certain profile that other candidates do better in. We recognize that, but it's proportional. What you need to understand is that all of these states are awarding delegates by proportion. So tonight we will have more delegates than we did last night. We continue to pick up delegates, and we will continue to do so. And this map only gets better for us as we move forward in some of the other states. Many of the states that voted tonight are states that, quite frankly, some of my opponents just do better in. And we recognize that going in, but we wanted to make sure that we got our fair share of delegates in this proportional process. We're soon going to be in the winner-take-all process in larger states like Florida and in other places like that, and that's when we feel very confident as we move forward.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of the headlines. 12-year-old Lynn Hayek makes Lebanon proud as she wins the first season of MEC's Arab talent competition, The Voice Kids Ahla Sawt. At least 60 people are killed as a suicide bomber driving a truck attacks a security checkpoint on a strategic highway south of Iraq's capital. And frustration is growing among migrants trapped on Greece's border with Macedonia. Many are living in appalling conditions. Those are your top stories for this Sunday. I'm Lynette Samim, and I thank you all for tuning in. Take care.
اليوم فتح على حسابك والله.